You've tuned in to Live on KEXP at Home. My name is Gabriel Teodros. It's my honor and my pleasure to introduce one of my favorite MCs, producers, all around hip-hop extraordinaires, Oddisee out of Washington, D.C., based in Brooklyn, New York right now. How you doing?
I'm doing just fine, man. How about yourself?
I'm pretty good, man. Thank you so much for blessing our virtual stage, in this COVID era. You dropped one of my favorite pandemic era projects this year, Odd Cure. Absolutely. And we're about to get into some of the music. Do you want to intro the first song?
Yeah, of course. First song is the first song off my latest EP, The Odd Cure, and the title of the track is The Cure.
KEXP at Home.
Inside of my head, what I had in mind. Is it recess or recession? Being worried, cause I ain't stressing. One side said we gon' hit an incline. One side said we get in the end time. In the middle of the match where I been fine. I ain't confined, I was left in. It was out of my control, I ain't stressing. Only cutting from the cloth I was dressed in. Well groomed in a room full of best men. Great suit, cha-cha, me not the question. On average, I'm the exception. Run the math if it's anything less than. Hit the pad, get blocked even one time. No conspiracy can tell me what it meant then. So what's next then? I'ma keep it moving, I got no choice. Representing for the weak of us with no voice. Rich enough to be protected, but who elected? And black enough to be respected, but still mess with. Pulled over in a Buick of a Rolls Royce. 5'9" and 6'3", they gon' feel threatened. Your fragility is sitting under your weapon. You ain't hard, you just got me cause you're so moist. More than one thing try to kill me. More than one name try to build me. Keep my hands clean as we talking about riches. That's the only thing that's filthy. Nothing left in his life left untainted. Upcharged for the pure, so we cover all. Here's an app, it's the people you can complain with. Rest assured, I'm the pros, I'm the cons, I'm the hope and the harm. I'm relief or belief, here to leave you in a storm. Throw a rap, throw release. What you need is what you form. Round your neck, on your arm, just keep calm. Rest assured, it's the cure. It's the cure. Rest assured, it's the cure. It's the cure. Rest assured, it's the cure. It's the cure. Rest assured, it's the cure. It's the cure, yeah. What it is, good people out there, how y'all doing? I go by the name of Oddisee, this is my band, Good Company. Don't y'all agree? Hey, come get your fix. Everybody got a way of coping. Talk about a half a sip, smoke it. You can tell it's serious when I be downplaying. Most scared when I be joking. Looking for a fix and I'm hoping. Both knees on the ground praying. What I even hear when spoken? Fear more familiar than faith is. I'ma stop looking for an answer. Search inside how to make it. Media delivering a breakdown. And when it break down, I can take it. Tell me something that I wanna hear. Like, can you find a new replacement? Babylon line off the top. I'ma take it back to the basement. I can lose a dog found land in the gutter. Get it all back, that's word to my mother. Coming in the county where it's really all black. Chilling in the city where it's getting off color. Never made it rain, I can save a long rap. On a rainy day, I know how to take cover. Let it all flood, I'ma swim it on back. I ain't made of iron, I'm just braver than the others. Life don't love you, but it let it come test. But if you love life, you can get the wrong number. If you go on to learn to take a long breath. With it on mount, come black with a flex. Looking for a hand, all I ever got was steps. Walk on once, now I walk on quests. I can walk on water, I can walk on set. My trip game, only thing where I'm the pros, I'm the cons, I'm the hope and the harm. I'm relief or belief, here to leave you in a storm. Throw a rap, throw a release. What you need is what you form. Round your neck, on your arm, just keep calm. Rest assured, it's the cure. 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 Hey, 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 yeah. What's going on, KEXP? I'm Oddisee, this is my band, Good Company, bring it to you. The Odd Cure, live. Hey, hey, yeah. Tension in the room, couldn't breathe, had to leave this space. I survive on my own, only now could I take a look back with relief I made. Took a lie, took a dope, hard choice when I heard the soft voice telling me to stay. Had to flee out, yeah, I had to be out. It's a big city, not another split it. I can make a living anywhere that I can visit. Didn't know it till I packed the rental with a vision. That became reality the more that you were distant. So you wasn't that, now I see you as a net. Get you saw me as a catch, now I see you as a prison. On my own, making now I made it, now I'm different. Had to turn an isn't to an isn't. I thought you were fake. I was wrong all along. I thought you were fake. My mistake had to make. I thought you were fake. In the end, just pretend. I thought you were fake. Hey, hey, yo, I don't read my stars. Though I came from the source, not a block and a chop to unlock and unleash my cause. Not a game on the board, read the card, see a flaw, now it's law, my belief, my laws. I ain't playing in the sport, made a bet, paid a fool, nothing left but to beat my odds. Yeah, of course, I'ma breach my flaws. Had to come back from a few things, this is not a new thing. Strapping up the boots like a divvy in a shoestring. I think I can move things with my mind like my hands and my feet. No magic to produce things, finding it amusing. We in control, but we think to get the real, we got a way to get a roll. I ain't with a few things, writing in the stone at the top, and I only wrote them all when it dropped. I thought you were fake. I was wrong all along. I thought you were fake. My mistake had to make. I thought you were fake. In the end, just pretend. I thought you were fake. Yeah, sing Ezekiel.
Yes, that's Oddisee, the band Good Company, live on KEXP at home. I gotta say, right off top, I love the flip of Curtis Mayfield's "Push Your Man."
Oh, thank you very much.
On that first track, was that something that you were thinking of when you originally recorded The Cure? Because the live version is different than the album version.
Absolutely. I came home from my last performance in Bangkok on March 9th. I arrived back in New York, and you know, I had settled in for my 14-day quarantine in my studio, as my wife told me I couldn't come home, and you know, I was like everybody else, just watching the news, watching a pandemic become politicized.
Wow, yeah.
You know, and it really dawned on me from different perspectives and points of views that people weren't necessarily looking for answers, but more so for a way to cope through this existence. And that may have come through conspiracy theories or denial, etc. And it reminded me of Curtis Mayfield's "Push Your Man." And whatever it is that you need, that supplier has. And it became more metaphorical for me as whatever your own internal beliefs are what you will seek out for as far as information is concerned.
Mm-hmm. That's ill. That's ill. Did you do the entire Odd Cure project in quarantine?
I
Or
did. I did.
oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. First
Yeah.
14 days, we knocked out everything. I got lucky. My engineer, his name is Delph.
Okay.
He's a dope engineer, producer, DJ, creative from Hong Kong who had recently relocated to New York.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided that, over the years I've been trying to lessen my workload and delegate more so that I can focus more on being an artist. So we met for a couple times. We knew each other. We first met in Hong Kong. We had a great mutual acquaintance by the name of Eric Lau, producer, who is also of Chinese origin, but from London. And Delph and I hit it off, and I said, "Hey, would you like to hire you to be my engineer? Are you interested?" He said, "Absolutely." So he moved to New York, and he was living in my studio here.
Okay.
And the pandemic hit, and he was stuck in my studio. So I came back and was like, "Listen, I can't go anywhere. So you got a choice. You need to leave, or you can stay here with me and catch COVID if I have it." So he's like, "No, I'm in here. I'm cool. Let's do this." So I had my engineer with me. Yeah, I had my engineer with me for 2 weeks to work on this record. Yeah.
That's awesome. We were chatting right before, the camera started rolling, and I was remembering the first time we crossed paths was way back in 2005 in Portland. It was our first show. Me and my brother King's Khalil was our first show outside of, in Portland specifically, you know what I mean? And it was the first time I ever heard of you, was seeing you live.
My man.
Way back then.
Yeah,
and,
I think that was my first time in Portland too. I think so.
Yeah. You and Median were up there together.
Yeah.
And I've watched your career since then, and you've been so consistent with releases and just quality, consistency and quality, which is something that you don't see or hear together too often. And you're a producer and an MC. So, half the time it's instrumental projects that we're hearing from you. I wanted to know what the evolution has been like for you as a producer now working with live instrumentation.
It's been a very natural evolution for me. Obviously, when you come from hip hop production, you're sampling a lot of live instrumentation to begin with. So those elements were already there. And you don't know this, that subconsciously you're internalizing that live, aspect of production simply by sampling. You start to really familiarize yourself with composition and arrangement and chord progressions, etc. The things that you might just chop up as a loop, but these are real elements. And, if you do it long enough, as time goes on, you start to understand those things, whether you were formally trained or not. So that was the first component that really started to push me towards the live element of my production. Secondly, from the beginning, I'd say I had always worked with live musicians to replay things that I sampled.
Okay.
Everyone on my records plays in my band. And they were playing on the records almost 10 years before we decided to become a band for touring reasons.
Wow.
Yeah. So any record you've heard from me, they've been on it anyway.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah. I didn't realize that because, I've seen you without the band, and then I started seeing you with the band, Well,
that depends on the budget, the tour package.
That makes sense too.
You get the rapper DJ, you get the full band. We can come as a trio, we can come as a quartet. Yeah. It just depends on what people want, and we provide it.
Yeah. What just out of curiosity, what year did you start touring with the band?
Started touring with the band in 2010.
Okay, wow.
Yeah, started touring with the band in 2010. It was a very conscious
decade.
decision.
That's wild.
Yeah. Would have been, if not for those pesky COVIDs, it would have been a full solid 10 years of touring.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a conscious decision to really help the music put itself in its own lane, its own avenue, and to branch out in order to get performances and bills that were off limits to 2 turntables and a microphone. There was so many more opportunities to tour with a live band, and they've grown since then as well.
That makes a lot of sense. That's something I've always learned and admired and been reaffirmed by watching your career in particular is it seems like you really have not just carved your own path or carved your own lane. You absolutely have done that, but I think the thing that inspires me the most is you've defined success on your own terms.
Doing my best to, man.
Yeah. I'm curious, how would you define success for yourself in your music career?
Oh, the definition has been the same for years. It's being able to support myself and my family from what I do first. And it is having the ability to have social and economic freedom. That's it. It's I want to wake up when I want, sleep when I want, eat what I want when I want, go where I want when I want to, and to maintain that. And as long as those things are maintained for myself and my loved ones, that's success. I'm happy.
That's beautiful. There's got to be an element of the artistic integrity that's in there too, because I think of you as a non-compromising artist when it comes to that.
I would love to give you a romantic answer that's wrapped around artistry, but it's not there.
Okay.
It's not there. When I'm in this room, everything is made from love and with love.
Say that.
There's no tour being thought of. There's no demographic that I'm trying to reach. There's no target that I'm trying to reach, no projection, absolutely nothing. It's just the spirit of creating and loving the ability to create and manifesting that gift and using it. The minute those records are done and they're sent to the distributor and they're out there in the world, that side is, for me, is shut off. It's just a part of my personality. I have to compartmentalize those sides in order to be effective on one or the other as far as the creative versus the business aspect. So, yeah, I'm very business oriented when the records are done. But when I'm working on records, it's just pure creativity and nothing else.
And that's what comes through. That's what I was looking for right there.
All right. Okay.
You said it. Do you want to intro the next song we're about to hear?
Sure. The next song is Still Strange.
Let's get into it. KEXP at home with Oddisee.
We don't make the mistakes that we used to. They've been replaced by something useful. But I'm still strange. Nothing's changed. We told lies, now we're truthful. Can't go back to what you used to. But I'm still strange. Nothing's changed. Took you for granted, only now I understand it, yeah, yeah. Going in the wind and out the wind just makes me panic, yeah, yeah. I'm all alone in isolation, and the only thing I'm testing is my patience. Thankful I'm alive and waiting, yeah, yeah. Out front your door, I hide emotions, but can't mask depression. You get me high, I'm at your gate, I missed our close connection. Hope I'm not banned from trying again to make it work. I lost you first, make matters worse. I lost my job, I'm non-essential, maybe. Don't wash your hands of me, we should be closer, why are we distant? You hate what we've become, but you love what we plan to be. I'm focused, but still randomly my thoughts are swayed. My whole life's an awkward phase, and so I'd say we don't make the mistakes that we used to. They've been replaced by something useful. But I'm still strange. Nothing's changed. We told lies, now we're truthful. Can't go back to what we used to. But I'm still strange. Nothing's changed. I'm at a loss, thought I was better off than other people. I could go jogging, all that I want, I can't run away from me though. Am I evil or ignorant? Out of my mind at tenements. Want it back the way it was, never bad me with benefits. I'm letting go of my ego and replace it with something that's generous. We should go chase after happiness. Some believe that this should come with the membership. Found that the freedom was limited. Said we equal, not the truth we pretend it is. Proved to be something lethal. Can't lose it, yeah, I need you. Fighting for you on the front lines. When we get through it, we gon' reform. Communicating like we need to. Keep it transparent, baby, see through. Kept off what we kept on. Got a choice now, what should we do? Don't repeat when we reborn. We don't make the mistakes that we used to. They've been replaced by something useful. But I'm still strange. Nothing's changed. We told lies, now we're truthful. Can't go back to what we used to. But I'm still strange. Nothing's changed. We say, that's the time. I feel like making love to you.
Live from York, Pennsylvania, representing Prince George's County, Maryland. We doing this one for KEXP, y'all. Yeah.
I get around any town, I'm a man about. Whoever you a fan of is my fan account. Not impressed if a restaurant got a waiting list. Traveled enough to know politics just to play the grits. Who got cars? I got lanes. Who got game? I got cards. Who's playing to advance? Front and double your budget, you about to lose a fan. I'll stay underrated, but I improve the chance. I never meant to make any man feel insecure. Less I'm the accomplice to what they claim accomplished. Bro, honest, I'm proud that you never show profits. Much like the identity you pretend is yours. This one for the truth seekers. Respect the real beasts and not the industry zookeepers. Don't apologize for canceling and not getting back to me. I move right along with what I want to do.
No skips, no skips, no skips. Ooh, no skips.
Every day there's just a song I made. No rewind or forward with me, I'm on play.
Can't go back. What's forward? No trips.
Hey.
Ooh, no skips.
No way to jump ahead or stay. My life's theme, let it play all day. Forever in the PG state of mind. You think you doing something, we think it's a waste of time. Nah, we don't follow trends in my ends. If we ain't said it, we ain't steady for it. That's why you got a place in line. These bammers is corn kings and clown squads. Keep it tight, but start from around. Oh, for real. Can't imagine my daughter a little older, reminiscing, finding picking me round, y'all. Kill. Wish I was still homies with my older friends. We get along much better now as older men. Less ego, we come together for something lethal. The type you peep and you know it's heating, but just a preview. So rugged, if it ain't low budget, we don't love it. Another classic jump, but we different people. You ain't answering your phone, hope the song reach you. Man, all I care is try and pitch another sequel.
No skips, no skips, no skips. Ooh, no skips.
Every day is just a song I made. No rewind or forward with me, I'm on play.
Can't go back. What's forward? No trips.
Hey.
Ooh, no skips.
No way to jump ahead or stay. My life's theme, let it play all day. Go.
Hey, no skips.
Yeah, and you say DC, hey. Yeah, and you say MD. Yeah, hey. And you say DA. Yeah.
That was dope.
Thank
No
you, man.
skits. Oddisee.
Them boys is fools, man. We sometimes we have too much fun. We need to take it a little bit more serious.
Nah, man. I was gonna comment on that. It looks like y'all are having so much fun when you're playing, and it really comes across.
Always. We are a bunch of fools, man.
Yeah. How, I mean, I know that all this music came about during the pandemic. You're not able to perform and tour. So what is like rehearsal even been like for doing something like a live on KEXP at home?
Oh man, it's usually what I'll do is I'll call the boys up and tell them we got to record something.
Okay.
And we'll link up the night before or the day before, and we'll just run it for about 6-8 hours.
Okay.
And then we'll do it the next day.
Yeah. It's funny because I'm looking at it and I'm like, man, they probably performed this in front of people, like in front of some cameras, like twice. Yeah. But they just look and sound so together. Like that's ill, you know?
Yeah, but they were the same guys on the record, you know?
That makes sense, yeah.
So they have known these songs for months now, you know, because they were playing on them, and they're the first ones to get the demos. They're the first ones to get the record when it's finished. You know?
They've lived with it for a minute.
Yeah.
That makes sense. One of my favorite things about the album, I'm sure a lot of people have commented on it, are the skits that tie everything together. Yeah. I feel like, you know, I've been a big fan of your music, listened to your albums for a very long time. I feel like those skits in a way are kind of like the most vulnerable you've been in a way, because we get to hear, you know, your mother's voice, your father's voice, your you know, your grandmother's voice. And it was so relatable, you know what I mean? But it was also a good reminder for folks, without maybe even you intentionally making it a reminder, to check on your people, to call your people, make sure they have food, make sure they have what they need during the pandemic. Do you want to talk a little bit about the skits? Like what, you know, what thoughts went into that? Yeah.
Sure. I think the reception of the skits has been so amazing, and it wasn't something that I foresaw, for sure. You know, my intention was to display all facets of life that was being affected by the pandemic. You know, I had a friend who was out of a job, who was on the other side of the country. You know, my mother was an essential worker. You know, my grandmother was high risk. You know, my manager was the person to discuss how freelance people would be affected. So I just kind of wanted to for everyone to see themselves in the skits. What was my intent? But as we all know, you know, when it comes to art, you know, there's the creator's perspective, and then there's the person who digests the music, the people. And what I guess was taken from it was, call your people, take care of your folks, you know, which is beautiful, you know?
Yeah. It's such a good reminder. I'm chuckling a little bit to myself because I see you wearing the bucket hat that you were talking about in one of the skits with your friend from New York.
Yeah, man. Yeah. That's a very DC thing, to wear a bucket hat. We've been doing that for a long time. You know, I guess they're rather popular now, but it's kind of a part of our uniform. My friend from New York, we always go back and forth over who started what, because New York's always taking things and amplifying them, and then they get the credit for it, you know?
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Well, it's like the world revolves around New York.
Yeah.
So
rightfully so, though. It's an amazing city.
And New York doesn't have to know about anything outside of New York.
Doesn't.
We all know what's happening in New York, but New York doesn't really know about anything else.
Ain't that the truth? Yeah. You know? It's a constant, you know, and living in New York for the past 10 years. And befriending actual New Yorkers, that's probably most of our banter, is just hating on each other, you know,
going back and forth. Yeah, it's hilarious. Sure. Yeah. There was another part of the skits that I'm kind of curious about, where your mom asked you to make a documentary about rappers from PG County, and you were like, "That's a good idea." Is that something that you think you would actually do?
No. Sorry, Mom. She's going to watch this interview. She watches all my interviews. Sorry, Mom.
Hi, Mom. You raised a good one.
No, I don't know. I don't think I'm going to do something like that, but you never know what time will tell.
Yeah.
You know, she was as hype as I was about the Basketball County documentary that was put out. And, you know, she was like, oh, he's doing about rap, you know, in the moment, you know, a supportive mother, you know.
I love it. Like I mentioned earlier, you know, we talked about your consistency, and there was years where you were consistently putting out an album every single year. And then between the Iceberg and now, it's been 3 years. What's been going on in those 3 years? I mean, I kind of know, but you know, I'd rather you talk about it.
Sure. A child was born.
Say that.
My daughter was born in 2017.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, around 2017, it had gotten to the point where it was 2 albums a year. It was a vocal record and an instrumental record each year, you know, and it put me in 3-month cycles of creativity where I had 3 months to do a record, 3 months to promote a record, 6 months to tour it. And, you know, I'm out the country or on the road for half the year for over the past 10 years.
That's work.
You know, yeah. And I just got to a point where I was burnt out. You know, and my daughter was born, and I said, you know what, I really want to take a break, remind myself why I do all of this.
Yeah.
You know, fall back in love with all aspects of my industry because, yeah, for the past 5 years, I've never disliked creating music, but I definitely got to the point where everything else after the creative part, when I leave this room, I very much despised, you know. It was just the rigmarole of it all, the touring, the constant, and it's not glam touring, you know. You know, there's that romantic view of tour life, and the way my brothers and I tour, it's about maximizing profit, saving money, making a strong impact, and coming home as soon as possible because all of us have families, and it's been that way for quite some time now. So, yeah, I just got to this point where I didn't want to leave my house, you know. I didn't want to talk to anybody, I didn't want to go anywhere, and that's not healthy, you know. So I said, you know, let me get back to what I do, why I like to do it, remind myself, be thankful for the opportunities I have when I go out there on that road, appreciate every person I come across, every opportunity that I have, everything that I get to discover, and don't allow myself to become so desensitized to it because it's become so normalized, you know? And I need to just basically hit a reset button.
Yeah, man, that's super healthy. And I'm glad to hear you taking that break and that time for yourself.
Sure, man, for sure.
I'm also curious, like, has being a father affected your approach to music at all?
It's a good question. I would say yes. I'm not sure exactly how. I'm a person who's really driven off of preparation, you know? So, you know, before my daughter was born, I was in dad mode, you know? And, you know, I had 9 months prior to that to kind of get used to saying my life is not my own, you know? And culturally, I was very much raised that way in my own home of parents kind of basically just putting their lives and their wants and their needs aside and coming to this point where they say they don't matter and I no longer matter. My existence is for my child, you know? So I was mentally preparing for that before the arrival of my daughter for quite some time, you know? I think once she finally came and it became a reality, I realized that that level of sacrifice, although amazing and valued, it took my parents away for quite some time in my life. You know, my parents were working, you know, and that balance between nature and nurture is oftentimes affected when you have parents who come from foreign countries to the West, where their main priorities are, you know, academics, well-being, roof over your head, et cetera, et cetera. But, you know, the asking how you feel isn't a priority, you know? And I think that with my daughter and watching her grow up before my eyes, it's making me realize some of the things that I wish were focused on when I was a child. This is not to say that my parents didn't do the best to their abilities. They did an amazing job, and I respect them for it. But I also realize that I have the privilege to be concerned with my child's emotional state as much as her, physical well-being is in, a house, a roof, education, etc. And that's something that I recognize now as a privilege, especially in Western society, that if you have time to dive into the emotional state of your children after you've spent X amount of time taking care of their bare necessities, consider yourself fortunate, and that's something I didn't realize until I had a child. And I'm very much preoccupied with the emotional and mental health of my child as well as her physical.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
We got one more song and we'll come back on. Do you wanna intro the last song?
Last but not least, Go to Mars.
Yeah. Right here on live on KEXP at Home with Oddisee.
I done played by the rules. I've been made out a fool by the few who make the laws. Don't break or make a clause. Wanna fish, not just fry. Wanna live while alive. What's the cost? Or don't pay, wave me by. Save a pie, not a slice for the mice of my men. Let me fend for myself, you just lend what I spend. Pay you back, not revenge, just them dollars, extra cents. That's the dentist thing, and it's getting high. Is a savior, someone who will save you, or at least make you feel like it will, till your will is enslaved. I don't know, but I'm starting to feel like I'm caught in a wheel that's spinning around with no brakes up a hill. Is it fact? Is it fake? Doesn't matter if it's real, just as long as I escape. I wanna go to Mars and live amongst the stars and be the one that got away from it all. I wanna go to Mars and live amongst the stars and be the one who got away from it all. Fighting for a seat on a vessel fully booked. I compete for a glance, satisfied with just a look. Trying to get on board in front of all the crooks. Show them I am something more than just a number in the book. I'm a king without a castle with some hassle, but it's free. Just another brother quick to turn his back on another piece. If it mean I'm seen as higher than them classes under me. If I'm fine, it's all that matters. Politics don't party, please. Hear me out now. I'm filled up with doubt now. That if I don't say you're out, I join the crowd of us that's living just about down. I don't know, but I reached the top of the bottom, and now I'm at the bottom of something still far from the ground. If I fail to understand how to live entitled, cause survival's all I comprehend. I pretend and live amongst the stars, be the one who got away from it all. I wanna go to Mars and live amongst the stars and be the one who got away from it all. Let's see. I wanna go to Mars and live amongst the stars and be the one who got away from it all. I see. I wanna go to Mars and live amongst the stars, be the one who got away from it all. Hey, I want to say this. Hey, John. I want to spread the news that it feels this good getting used, or you just keep on using me until you use me up. Until you use me up. Until you use me up. Until you use me
Dennis Turner on bass. Representing Southeast Washington, D.C. St. Ezekiel on the guitar. Representing Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Mr. Jon Laine on the drums. Representing Alexandria, Northern Virginia. My man Ralph Real in his hometown getting down York, Pennsylvania on the keys. I go by the name of Oddisee, representing Prince George's County, Maryland. Big shout out to KEXP. Big shout out to the sound of York, Pennsylvania. Big shout out to Steph. Big shout out to my man Pete. Big shout out to Big Law behind the camera. Shout out 1982 Creative. Shout out to my man Delph holding it down on second camera. You know he's gonna engineer to have it sounding right. Yeah. Peace, y'all. Hey. Yeah.
All right. Hit him with the Bill Withers sample. Oh, man. I love it.
Thank you very much, man.
Man, I love that you referenced Bill Withers and Curtis Mayfield in the same set. Two of my favorite songwriters of all time, by the way.
Got to. A lot. This record was very much inspired by that era. You know, even some of the vocal choices from myself and Olivier, some Sly and Family Stone influence. You know, in the way the deliveries were approached. Yeah, I felt like I wanted timeless music.
Yeah,
you know, to encapsulate the era and the history that we're in right now.
You know, it's funny that you said that, because that is something that when I think of your music, you know, I'll be honest with you, the first project of yours that really caught me was the Tangible Dream record.
Oh, my man. Yeah.
I played that record out, man, and it felt timeless. You know what I mean? But it didn't feel like a throwback in the way that like a lot of hip hop is like, you know, we gonna take it back. It felt like, but it felt true to the spirit of the hip hop music that I grew up on, and something that I was hungry for, but I didn't hear made that often anymore. And I feel like all of your records since then have stayed true to that, like that timeless feel. So yeah, that's dope that you're thinking about that when you approach it, you know?
Always. I actually finished Tangible Dream in Seattle at DJ 100 Proof's house.
Shout out to 100 Proof.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. Oh, I did know that because Paulo's on there.
Yeah. I recorded the last songs for that record there while on tour. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. How many songs from that record were recorded here?
I think 2 or 3. I'm sure I did Own Appeal there for sure.
Wow.
At 100 Proof's house in Capitol Hill. I think he was living in Capitol Hill at the time. Yeah.
Wow. That's it, man. Small world, man.
Small world, right? Yeah.
Shout out to 100 Proof.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah. I wanted to ask you because it surprised me the first time I saw you singing on stage. You know, and you let your singing go a little bit in this video too. When did you start getting more comfortable with that? Because I don't hear you singing on the records as much, but when you go to the live show, it's like you're singing all the choruses that usually it's other people's voices doing on the record.
Yeah, it was a constant encouragement from my bandmates, people around me to start expressing that side of myself a bit more. My mother as well. She's like, hey, you should sing more. You should sing more. I was like, I don't know. You know, when you come from a hip hop background, especially as long as we've been doing it, there's kind of was this stigma on rappers singing. And then during the course of my career, rappers who sing were normalized. You know, one of my favorite MCs of all time, Fonte, is an amazing singer, you know, and seeing those artists break those barriers inspired me to want to sing more. I'm all about job specialization. So when it comes to the records, I want people who sing and have been singing as long as I've been rapping to sing. But when it comes to the live show, I want people to kind of be immersed into a group effort on stage. So you notice in this performance, my drummer's mic'd, and my keyboard player has a mic, and they're singing as well in the background vocals. And St. Ezekiel from Philadelphia substituted for Oliver St. Louis, who obviously couldn't be in this performance because he lives in Berlin. But he'll have a mic in front of him too normally, and it'll be 4 of us singing on stage.
I'm a fan of his solo music as well, by the way. Shout outs to Olivier St. Louis, who I learned about through you, you know?
Yeah, he's a brilliant brother.
Yeah. I would be remiss if I didn't ask you about Sudan in this interview.
Let's go.
Since we had, since we, two half East African MCs, man, we got to talk about it a little bit
For sure.
before we up out of here. I saw that you spent some time in Sudan. What's it like going back now?
I went back in December, and that was the first time I had went back post revolution.
Okay.
For anyone tuning in, the Sudanese people went through a revolution of peaceful protests that lasted for almost a year. And the end result was the removal of a 30-year plus dictatorship and regime without the use of force. And it was an amazing time for the first time in my life to go back and not have the fear of military police and secret police.
Wow.
And my heart goes out to all of the people who were there on the ground who fought for that change and that protest. And it was just beautiful to see that country in the way that I only heard about from my father and my family of a day, that was post-British rule, but pre-regime. It was a split second, a window of this freedom. And I witnessed that freedom that my father spoke about of his childhood for the first time in my life in December. And it was beautiful. It was electrifying. It was New Year's, when I was there. And it's still an uphill battle. The Sudanese people, as a people, hope that they are not judged by the politics of their government, as the average American hopes that they are not judged by the politics of their representation. Nevertheless, here we are where the Sudanese people are fighting to be removed from government sanctions and terrorist watch lists because those sanctions have stifled the economy and suppressed growth and mobility. And, a country removes its dictatorship itself peacefully, without war, without strife, without assistance from outside sources. And they instill a democratic government, and they plea to the world and the very country that placed them on the sanction list to say, hey, we did the democracy thing by ourselves, and we didn't pick up a gun to do it. Can we get off this list? And they're like, we'll think about it. So that's where we are now.
Yeah. Get out and vote, y'all.
Get out and vote. Yeah.
Get out and vote.
Get out and vote. Yeah.
For real.
Yeah. I was praying that Obama in his last days were going to remove the sanctions. And I want to say within the last 2 weeks of his presidency, he lifted the sanctions on transferring money to the Sudan, which was also stopped. When that was done last 2 weeks of his presidency, but alas, he didn't remove the sanctions. And the guy, he put out a tweet yesterday, a couple of days ago, saying, great news, Sudanese government's agreed to pay $36 million or something like that in fees to families affected by terrorism. And when they do that, I'll remove them from the list. Great day.
That don't even make sense to me.
Yeah.
Can't make sense out of that guy.
No.
And I can't say that legally on the radio, but hey,
here
we are.
Yeah. that guy. Who what guy? We
don't know.
No, I don't like talking about it. Yeah.
Right. Oh man, it's been so good talking to you. I feel like we could talk all day. Before we're out of, thank you. Before we're out of here, is there anything that you want to clue the people to, things to look out for coming from you and yours in the future?
Absolutely. First of all, thank you for anyone who tuned in. Much appreciation to KEXP for giving us the platform and for having us. There aren't but so many ways that we can bring live music to the world, so having this platform is a blessing. And much love for supporting artists such as myself. Be on the lookout for more music. I will be releasing more music this year and the next. And as soon as the doors open, we will be back on the road. I'm interested, and I want to fall in love with touring again. So I'm ready.
Say that. Yeah. Say that. Can't wait for it, man. Thank you so much for sharing your music and your time with us. Appreciate you. This has been live on KEXP at home. Be sure you subscribe for more great performances. Some of your favorite artists like Oddisee. Word. GT signing out. Much love.
Discover new music at listener-powered KEXP.org.